several things from the very beginning started us on this project, and one had to do with the nature of a tower as an idea. And what I have been interested in, and it's connected to my work over the last 20 years, is producing something of a complexity and of a dynamic characteristic, so it's understood more than one single thing. And in this case, it was something that we understood is going to be seen from various points of the city. It's going to be seen in various seasonal conditions, and it's going to be seen in various conditions of day to night. And each one of those is going to produce a very different image in the terms of the development of this idea. One of the things that takes place in a building of this scale, if you have the opportunity to, its architecture can reveal itself over time and over distance. So from the most distant viewpoint, say, the Ile de Cité, we're looking at it and it becomes just about a mirage. But it's a shape, and you could even say it's a part of a landscape. This could be a mountain range. It could be something that's a natural site. And then, of course, as you're looking at it from these various viewpoints, it's recognizable by its scale. And as I talk about it further, and as we look at the models, it'll be recognizable by its the specificity of its material characteristics and how it responds to that environment, both in daytime and nighttime. And as we look at it, we're going to see that it's continually changing in terms of its form. These slides, I think, were asked by you from particular positions. It's actually much more interesting as we move around it 360 degrees, because the idea was, and you'll see again in more images, as you move around it, it reveals a different form, a different thing. It's funny, it's an idea that I've been interested in since I was a young man, and I was in the Rodin Gardens. And Rodin and the Bergers of Calais was extremely interested in the relationship of the characters, and as you moved around it, they kept changing, and it was something that stuck with me my whole life and has become part of my architecture. Okay, the specific urban environment is, in this case, was extremely crucial to developing this idea, and as you know, it's just about a non-site. It's a piece of property over layers of infrastructure, which is between things, essentially, right? And so here, okay, this is a new tool I've got here I'm going to play with. So here we are, right? And here's going to be our site, right? And this is the circular, the highway that comes through, and of course there's a rail that comes through. And we're going to be right here, and I'm going to discuss kind of the connection to its transportation. So this is the location that you recognize. And well, the first thing we did was something actually quite conventional. La Défense, it represents the modern 20th century condition. So for somebody from Los Angeles, this would be the Los Angeles aspect of the greater Paris environment, right? It's a series of objects that are more or less disconnected. Well, the plaza, and there's some places, and there's moments like the one on top of us, etc. But what we're interested in doing in this site, or this non-site, was the placing of the building, and two things took place. One, kind of establishing it as a linkage and a connective tissue, because that's really the first thing that a building can do from the lower. You're going to see, I'm going to talk about the building, and in classical terms, it's going to have a top and a middle and a base. Well, the lower part of the building is the one that's the most active, and it's the one that's the most socially vibrant and most economically vibrant, and it has all the connectivity, because as you know, there's 10,000 plus people. That's going to generate probably 15,000 with visitors that are coming through here. And it's going to be this, this piece that's going to make that connection. And, well, it starts with something just extremely basic, and it has to do with the RER in the metro. And again, if I remember right, there's 125,000 plus minus people in this area. And, of course, there's this commercial area. And then, of course, we've seen the remodeling of the commercial in this space, and what we're going to do is we're going to bring people through the space and then into the building, which I'm going to show you again. So if we look at that as an outline, the project starts with that, all right? And that's going to be the basic movement that's going to take you right through the building and undercover and bring those 10,000 plus people into the complex. And then that's going to lead us later to the lifts. And of course, we're starting at 30 meters, which I'm going to talk about. And it becomes the basis of the building having to do with the movements. Because again, everything in the architecture to some degree is performance-based. Nothing that we're doing doesn't have some relationship to performance. And then, what do I do, Sylvia?
Click the mouse.
Let me go out and then throw it again.
Click the mouse.
I've got a program that's not working here. I'll just go on. That was a sequence coming through the building. I'll take you downstairs and show it to you. I'm going to go back to the icon because we started with the relationship of its urbanistic experience, and you're going to see it from a distance. Hi, and it's going to be connected to its immediate circumstance. And I'm now going to talk about the architecture, and I'm going to look at it from a different position. We're now seeing it more or less as you see it from various positions of the site. Well, these are kind of casual photographs because the model was going out of our office before we had a chance to even photograph it properly. But what it shows is this dynamic quality, is that as we look at the building, we keep finding new expressions of the same thing. And it's the relationship of the dynamism that I'm so interested in. And then again, when I looked at this photograph, you have to understand that in some ways, I'm fresh on this project like you are. I'm just beginning on the project. We worked on it for 2 months, yes? And so I'm looking at this and scratching on my head and go, I couldn't quite even understand how I got that form because I conceived in my mind what it is. And as we're looking at it, this is guiding me in how we're going to shape it and move it. But I'm interested in the romance, the sensuousness, the softness in terms of the relationship to this environment and to the general environment of Paris. And something very contrary to what's taking place at La Défense at this time. And it's going to end in a certain way. And in fact, last night when we were talking, we were looking at the shadow, and it's really odd that the shadow doesn't look like it's coming from the piece. And that's exactly what I'm talking about. It's going to be somewhat enigmatic, that you're going to have to keep looking at this thing for it to even totally make sense, because it has a certain level of nuance or complexity. Okay. The performance, kind of how this thing works. You're going to notice several things as I show you the slides. There's kind of two buildings, well actually three. There's kind of a lower building that picks up the relationship of the existing buildings to its periphery. There's going to be this low prop, and you're going to go back and you're going to see that's actually the heights of most of the buildings and the surrounding. And it's going to ask as a description of this as a complex. Not as a single building, but as a complex of buildings representing its urban site and making those connections. And then you're going to see vertically the connection from the plaza. Here's that low piece that's going to go through. And we're going to move up to the 30-meter where the lobby is. And you're going to look at this other low piece, which is this one here. And then you're going to look at the elevator banks, which I'm going to talk to you to as you get to the top. And then there's going to be this wind garden we're going to talk about. So the building stacked vertically is the premise of the organization. So here we are from the rail as we come through the commercial, as we move up to the this additional piece we put that's the entry piece, which is going to be the cafes, etc., which I'll talk about in a minute, and then moving up an escalator to the plus 30-meter level, and from there through the building, and there's a series of skip-stop elevators, which I'm going to talk to, and a series of events that take place as you move up until you get to the roof deck. And again, the interest here also was the building as an economic generator, as an engine, right, as it pulls people through the commercial complex. And then from the plaza, as we're looking up, we're in the plaza and we're looking at the two escalators that are coming out of Nervi's building. And then from above, I think it'll be probably clearest when we look at the model, because it's actually, it's a space, a place, it's defined, and it has a huge amount of kind of complexity having to do with the nature, just using the site, that there was just so much available to us. You're going to see that we're extremely interested in transparency. We're not, one of the odd things about this complex is its opacity. You don't really understand the incredible intensity of activity taking place here. So we're leaving this you're seeing the rail below, you're seeing the highway below. We're peeling it away, and you're looking down at that space. And as you're moving through these escalators up to the 33 level meters, you're going to be in space, you're going to be looking out at the city, right? You're going to be moving, it's going to be literally that transition from the lower to the upper lobby, and you're going to be looking at this incredibly complex space, which has to do with automobile, rail, pedestrian traffic, etc. Again, you're looking down, here's the rail car here, there's a roadway right above here you cannot see. And then again, from the university side, as we look through the space, again, I don't think you're going to be interested in the plans at a detailed level. I want to make just certain comments. We spent a lot of time. There's a huge amount of detail in this work, and it's not the primary focus of the work, but it was necessary to prove capability and to make this project viable. We're bringing you something that's real. It's real in economic terms, it's real in functional terms, it's real in urbanistic terms. And so it was a very kind of unusual competition in some ways, in that it demanded a level of specificity. We had to really look at these things and solve them to some degree, which is not always the case in competitions, where one can deal with something much more within a schematic kind of field. So on the first floor, it's this kind of most complex floor. We're moving towards, of course, the university through here. We're kind of moving kind of out of the commercial space, and we're going to be connecting through here, and this is going to be the void below. And there's going to be entrance points, one here from the parking, one for the lower building here that are elevators. This is the Sylvia, what is that?
Trade floor.
The trade floor on the side, which is a separate piece, which is part of the programmatic area. And as we're moving up, this is now the key as we're moving kind of through this space. And here is the space we're adding. We're going to come up one more floor, and we're now coming up. We're coming up on the escalators. Main entrance is another escalator coming off of the plaza, coming right here. There's a drop off here for taxi cabs. And again, if you're interested, I could take you through the whole kind of complex series of movement patterns that exist in this plan. And then we're moving up to the main lobby, which is this space right here. I think it's the next. There we are here. And here's the lobby. It's right there. And we have the 3 elevator banks being zoned low to high. We have at the end the tourist elevator and the fire, which is going up to the restaurant on the top. And we have the parking coming to this location. And this lobby is a series of layers, which are the cafes. We've moved the public spaces. There's one in this space, there's one here, and there's one in the lower piece. We've distributed the social spaces and the cafes through the building vertically. And so this establishes the basic kind of movement pattern. So we're now up at this plus 30, and here's the 3 elevator banks coming this way. And then again, we've used a skip-stop elevator, an express elevator, which is extremely efficient and it expands social spaces. We've done this in San Francisco. You, I guess, went up and saw it. We've done it again in a building in Los Angeles. It's extremely efficient. It's extremely efficient in terms of space use, and it's a very interesting social condenser. Again, if you're interested in questions, we can go through that. But the elevator is stopping every 3 floors, walk down, walk one up, one down. And then, of course, there's a handicap elevator. And then here is that space in a very kind of crude rendition. And we're now, the skin is peeling kind of out of the building, kind of bulbous, and you occupy this 10-story space at the 33 level area, and then maybe this one will work. It's funny.
I think they don't work because
there's something in this program. We have tapes that we went great trouble to make, movies that for some reason are not working on your program. What a shame. And then as we move up, what's obvious is part of the dynamicism is the shifting floor plates. The floor plates are, have huge variety. Each floor plate is essentially differentiated. And if you're interested, we, again, took the program very seriously. It has the total capacity of the program. It actually has some additional that accommodates for future kind of resolution. Okay, we can talk about the lifts and the structure. They come together. And again, I know this group is not particularly interested in the tectonics of the work, but you have to understand that the relationship of the movement system and the structure and the environment makes the work. It produces the architecture, right? And it's key here. And it's an extremely kind of functional piece of work, and I think it has to be in this case. And it definitely has to be having to do with the future economics of this project, right? And I'm sure that's going to come up because it's going to start from the base. And then we're going to be able to talk about it, and this is much a tool for the future of how we work. There's a core that's going to be built in concrete. We're going to spend, if we work with you, the staging and the construction sequence is a project, and it'd be integrated to the architecture, right? Very, very kind of complex piece of work and a very interesting piece of work. And then we've talked about how we've added the frame and the exo frame and a skin, which I'm going to talk about environmentally, and then a wind farm. And I'm going to take you through that series of pieces. So the structure has been rationalized, having to do with this really complicated non-site. It basically is a tripod. It comes down 3 points. We spend a huge amount of time with RFR and kind of resolving this. And then it has a metal frame to the exterior, and then it's a cage. The cage allows us an extremely stiff, extremely efficient building. It's getting lighter as it goes up. It also gives us an incredibly kind of nuanced kind of relationship. As it moves up, the tubes are getting smaller and smaller, and it'll be evident to the human eye. And as we get involved in this, a lot of this will be made off-site. They'll be made in large pieces and brought onto the site, having to do with the difficulty of staging and transportation, having to do with the project. And the integration of those systems. And again, spent a large amount of time looking at the difficulty of the foundation condition and the relationship to wind loads. The shape of the building is a synthesis of pragmatic use, the spatial needs of the office, and of wind loading that produce the particular shape of this work and environment, which I'm going to get to. Okay. We have been extremely interested in really rethinking and reinventing buildings as they relate to the use of resources. We have a building in San Francisco that's will be the first high-rise that will be taken out the air conditioning in the United States. And we've worked with Berkeley, Lawrence Labs, and OVARP Engineering for 2 years. It's just being completed. I have a little kind of snippet of here somewhere. And this is an extension of that idea. What we did in the very, very beginning is we were looking at the envelope, which had to do with the amount of square footage necessary for the building. And as we were looking at the structural requirements of that, which I just showed you, and we were looking at the shaping, we were also looking at the condition of its relationship to the sun. And you'll see here the shape. It does this, right? And it's flat. The building basically looks like this. This is east sun, south, west. And you're going to look at a double skin. This will be the north side, which is glass, right? And the part of the building exposed to the sun all has a double skin. And it's going to have very much to do with a very kind of unusual kind of performance. And then with that, let me see if I can make this work. All of the motion stuff on something on your system won't happen here. We're supposed to be moving, but that's okay. And then on the roof, there's a wind farm. And we've developed an idea where there's a field of wind turbines. They're off the shelf. And they're going to generate enough power, let me go back, to operate fans on each floor that are going to be this whole part of the building. They're going to feed energy for these fans. And the natural ventilation produced by the wind farm will completely heat and cool the building 5 months out of the year. There'll be no needs at all, which is going to be a huge, it'll be an invention. And then what I don't have enough images of, and that was supposed to move, I'm sorry, is of course the top. And I was fascinated with this idea. And what you don't see, and I'm going to show you again downstairs, is the fans, of course, are moving. And they're blades. And then there's other single blades inside that are helping guide the wind through to the inner pieces of the forest. Right? And then some of these are also have elements on them that are communication devices. And it's literally this top. And the moving is going to reflect. Because like the skin, which will be perforated stainless steel maybe, the top would be stainless steel. And what's going to take place as it's moving is going to be this field of light. It's going to be, if anybody knows, there's a very famous sculpture by Maholy-Nagy, the light modulator that was done in 1928. And as you're looking at it, it's just going to be reflecting light. And if you can remember the images I showed you in the beginning, the urban images, I have no clue what's going to happen, but it's goes literally to your phare light beacon. We took that literally as an idea. But as it responds to light at very different times of the day, that movement has become incredibly evident. And the whole top of the building is going to be a dynamic piece, seen from everywhere in the city. And then again, the skin becomes primary. And it's the second skin that protects from solar radiation. It's moving off of servos, like our building in San Francisco. This is the one in San Francisco we're building. What you don't see is these all move, they operate, they draw through Venturi forces that allow for view. And again, this is in construction still. It hasn't even been cleaned, but it has incredible qualities that's shifting over the day as you're getting these levels of translucencies and transparencies. And we would continue this. Whether it be this or not, I have no idea. And then from looking in, it's extremely transparent. So it looks like at various parts of the day it's opaque, but in fact, it's completely transparent. I think we're okay. How are we time-wise?
We're done.
We're done time-wise?
Yes, we're fine.
Oof.
If you get out of Flash, I think the movies would work.
If I get out of what?
Flash. If you get out of this device, I think the movies would work. If you would like to show them.
Okay. Keep? No, discard. Now what do I do?
Go again. Are you out of this?
I know. This is Sylvia Cool, my partner, project manager. I've used up my total computer capacity. You've seen the total of my knowledge. Oh, how'd you do that? The space I was going to show you. We're moving a little fast because we knew we were going to be in a hurry. But we're making a place, a conscious place. And when you look at the model and you understand its urban context, it's connecting the whole complex of buildings that are peripheral to the site, including the university that we're moving through. And it's producing, it's reflecting this incredible dynamicism that's latent in the site, that exists already, only making it visible. All we're doing is taking what's there, and where do I get the next one? So again, you can see the lifts. When you're entering the lobby, you're already completely over the La Défense. You're looking towards the city. And then again, there's a series of connecting points. Right, and we're turning around, and you'll see it again, the model, we've opened it up. So the space really opens to the Da Vinci campus. Okay, let's go the other one up now. How do we? And this is the, as we're now moving from that transition point and the pavilion up into the lobby, this would be the area for cafes and social space and commercial space. We're on the second floor, And now we're moving up the final 25 meters, plus minus, as we go through. There's 2 escalators going up, 2 escalators going down. You're moving along the edge of this tower. You're looking out again at the city. And you're arriving in the main public space, the beginning of the elevator sequence, a second series of public activities, cafes, etc. And then you're looking up as the skin literally moves. One of the skin stays to the building, one moves to the outside. And you're looking at a space of about 10 stories and another series of public spaces above you. And then down at the cafe, and then down at the plaza. You're looking down at the plaza itself, and again, in the middle of this kind of active area. Thank you, Sophie.